our key speaker to share with us all that we need to know in Jesus' name. We pray that the discussions will yield fruits and all of us will, at the end of the day, live lives that are worthy of emulation and will be to your glory. Thank you, Father, because you know you have answered. For in Jesus' name I've prayed. Amen. Thank you for joining us. If you joined us while I was praying, thank you for joining us. We'll go quickly to the meat of the discussion. This is the second edition in our series. Last week, we discussed about the journey between dreams and duty in respect of our careers. And this week, we're discussing something very important, and which is on career growth. A number of us may have received the invite, but if you haven't, I'm happy to share with you the topic. Today's topic is navigating career growth in a dynamic world. And because we have just very short time with us, it's important that we dive into it as quickly as possible. We intend to finish this within the hour, and we'll be happy to receive questions. The mode of operation for this night's chat would be I'll read out the speaker's details. I would ask questions, and we will now invite and are not here, or that joined us the last time, or even those that are yet to join us at all. It will be good to also have you reach out to them to tell them that it's time. We are live and we're about to start. Just before we get into the meat of the conversations, thank you very much again for joining us. For everyone that just joined us recently, I don't know if I have any new names here, but thank you. Oluwaseun Ogunfe Timi. Thank you very much for joining us. I'll go quickly. As again, my name is Shokwe Falano. I'm your host for tonight, discussing the topic career growth in a dynamic world. We have one of why better than to claim him in YPF. I understand that he may be on his camera for all of us to see, and we'll go into the question and answer right away. Today I'm reading out his profile. Wole Adelokun is a partner at KPMG Advisory Services, a global professional services firm operating in over 145 countries. With over 20 years of experience in management consulting, he has led high-impact engagement across strategy development, economic analysis, policy design, sector and market assessment, institutional strengthening, public expenditure management, and business transformation. He has advised both public and private sector organizations, including the Nigerian Industrial Policy and Competitiveness Advisory Council, and played key roles in the development of the country's economic recovery and growth plan. He has also delivered strategy engagement for presidents, for governors, and senior government officials. I imagine that because all of us are muted, I can't get the round of applause, but it'll be good to also have us do the reactions that we can using the Zoom effects. Wole is a certified project management professional and a member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. He's a regular speaker at executive forums and C-suite strategy sessions. He often facilitates discussions on macroeconomic trends and industry dynamics. His accolades include an MSc scholarship, and he was selected by Junior Achievement Nigeria as one of the country's promising young professionals participating in a mini MBA program with the Lagos Business School. A round of applause again, everyone. He holds a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Ibadan. All the Ibadan alumni, I hope you are proud. A master's degree in energy economics from the University of Dundee, Scotland. Hello, co-Dundee alumni, and is currently enrolled in a PhD program in energy economics at the University of Ibadan. Beyond his professional commitment, Wale is passionate about youth development and ministry, particularly working with young adults. Ladies and gentlemen, I was going to say boys and girls, but there are no boys and girls here. I present to you our speaker for tonight, Mr. Oluwole Adelokun. Thank you very much and welcome. Thank you very much for agreeing to join us on this career chats. We would like to also see your face if possible.
Good evening, Mr.
Thank you
Shokpe. Good evening,
very much.
everyone.
Yeah, another round of applause for the unveiling. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
I'll go right into the questions. Um, I'm sure everyone is as eager. I've had comments in chat saying that they have their pen and their papers beside them, ready to jot things down, as they say it on social media. I'll quickly go through the questions that we have for you, and we'll just take it right from the very beginning. The first question is, can you please give us a brief summary of how you got here? Our discussion today is on career growth, and it's important that all of the things we've read about you, there must be a story to it one way or the other. So please share with us, how did you get here? How did you get to the peak of your career? I imagine that being a partner is the peak of your career in consulting. So how did you get here, if you're with us? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Mr. Shokpe, for the privilege of being here. I know it took you some time to be able to track me down. Um, so apologies, but I'm here and I'm privileged. I will also say I'm also here to learn, from everyone. So to the question straight away. So what has helped me to navigate the path of my career and where I am today. If I'm to summarize, I'll say three things. Given my background, so I came from a very, very humble beginning. Things were very rough, as at the time I started from, when I was a child, when I got to secondary school. We lost a parent, very, very young. But I think the beauty is I had a brother that was passionate about my development. Some people on the call here, it's possible, like Ali, that Bayo knows him. So was also very instrumental in terms of, helping me to navigate the complex world. But to summarize, I'll say three things. Number one is divine help and assistance. I can't take where I am for granted. It has been by His mercy and by His help. So God has been part of my story. If I look at my background, and that to say that whatever is your background, it should not put you, make you to lose hope. It was someone that said that your background should not put your back on the ground. So God has been the help all through the way, because there is time and chance, and it connects me with people that made it happen. So that's number one. Number two, I would say mentoring has also helped me to be able to navigate and get to where I am today. So at different stages of my career, I've had opportunity of seeking for advice, seeking for counsel, seeking for direction, because the Bible says in multitude of counsel, there is safety. So I remember at a point when I first got my job, my first job was in telecom industry, and we were taken to a place in Enugu for a training for certain days. So as I sat down in the room, I was listening to the conversation. A lady came and he was taking us through the presentation. So I was put in another department, but I became interested in a department. So I walked up to the director there, the GM. I said, "Oh, I'm interested here." And he said, "No, sorry, forget it. It's not possible." But later, because I approached him, he later came for me and said, "Okay, come around. Let me just send you out." That brought me on that path. Then at another time, I also reached out to people for guidance, and they were able to help me to navigate. Also, even now that I'm a partner in the firm, I also sought counsel, so that people that mentored, that provided guidance, it's okay, do this is how to navigate, and that has been very helpful. So my first job, even joining KPMG, I had opportunity of meeting with the firm when I was outside, the organization. So I worked with them. And it was at that point they saw me and said, okay, guy, come along. So I would say that's another thing. So mentorship and mentoring is very important. And the last one I would say is what I would call clarity of purpose. So as far back as when I was in secondary school, SS1, it was clear in my mind that I would pursue three things in life. Number one is that I work in a research environment, or I work in a consulting environment, and the third one is doing God's work. Okay, now the two, which is career path, which is either research or consulting, was very clear. And I think as at SS1, I was like, okay, maybe I will study economy. So that clarity also helped me to stay focused, to get to where I am today. So those are the three things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's interesting to hear you say, because as we all know, many of us on this call are Christians, and there is that in all of the things that we do. But it's also interesting to see that you've been proactive over the years with mentoring. And it's very familiar because I have another, what I'll call a mentor, that's also always said that at every point in time, he goes to ask people that have gone ahead of him of what he should be doing part time. And thirdly, you mentioned clarity of purpose. Now, that will bring me to our next question. All of these things are summary of how you've gotten here. Now, beyond all of this, because we'll still come back to this, beyond all of this that we have highlighted, it will be important for us to even understand. Now that you got into the job, I imagine that your first job was telecoms. We'll still come back to transition, but at the point where you got into the job, would you say that there were any soft skills? You were clear on your purpose. You were seeking for mentorship. You were proactive with it. You also were what we call very what they call name, very much helped by God. Time and chance worked in your favor. But would you say that there are any soft skills per se that if you're going to grow in your career, you point them out that anybody across many disciplines, here, these are three things you must have. And it's fine if they tie into what you've already shared with us as a summary for your growth. But we'd like to hear. Because the truth is, most more often than not, we have hard skills, we have technical competence and all of that. But it looks like beyond all of those things, they're like little things that actually make you the leaders are opening the door, looking out of the room to see who they'll bring in to join them at the board, like at the decision-making table, at the leadership level. What are the things you say, the leaders, when they open the door and they look out at all of the next generation leaders? What are the things you say are the soft skills that set you apart for such career growth?
Okay, thank you, Sister Shokwe. So as you're framing the question, I was reflecting. So I will speak from the heart. What I would say has been of help. So beyond your, you said technical skill, what are those three other things that are key for you to grow in your career? So number one, I would say there must be, I will call it openness to feedback. And when it's like, sorry, well, you said that majority on this call are Christian, so I'll go that divergence. So if you look at
Yeah,
John
that would say.
15, in verse 2, it says, when you are bringing fruit, there is a pruning that comes along with it. There's a purging that comes along with it. It's with intention for you to bring more fruit. So that ability to open to feedback is inevitable, in your career. And don't ever assume that you know it all. So in our own environment is a constant thing that you are given. So you must be ready to see feedback as a gift. And don't ever think that, oh, I know it all. And that feedback can come from the superior. It can come from your peers, and it can come from your subordinates. So I would say that's one of the things that has helped me. So openness to feedback. Number two thing I would say is important that have also helped me is there is the passion for impact. So what do I mean? In our own environment, so as you advance in your career, there are people that must be there to speak for you when you are not there. And I've seen that also coming through, as you advance in life. There are conversations happening that you are not in the room. Now, it then means that when you have interaction with people, just create an impression that will be something that is lasting, whether it's in form of, helping the person, you greet the person, you are asked to officiate, you are asked to carry out an assignment, just deliver, in an exceptional manner, in a manner that you are helping that person to solve his problem. Is inevitable. And the last one I would say is passion for learning. So those are the three things that I would say are extremely important to be able to navigate openness to feedback. Number two, as you connect with people, I do that a lot, just creates impact. Now, doing that will require you going extra mile, in terms of the time you spend to deliver that impact, and then be passionate to learn more. Those are the three things that I would say beyond the technical skill that has enabled me by His mercy to be where I am.
Thank you very much. And I think it's interesting that your key verse, as I'll call it, for openness to feedback is literally what we learned last week for those that were in church, if you know what I'm speaking about. And that brings me to the next point, openness to feedback. What we'll usually find is that at every point in time in your career, when it looks like things are no longer going in your favor, especially when maybe those feedbacks are increasing in number, you're not sure where you stand with your bosses. It's looking like you are being, in your head, you are being frustrated out. To them, they are giving you feedback. I mean, I know that there's a what you call maybe a Chinese wall. It's not too clear exactly what to expect because you don't know what's in the mind of the other person. How do we know when what we need is openness to feedback to continue working, or when it's actually time to say, you know what, this job has served me. Let me be on my way out.
Very tough one. So let me give you a practical example that happened to me. So I so in my environment, so I had the opportunity of working with different, leaders, what I would call senior guys, senior partners, or even before I am where I am today. Now, because you understand the style of various guys, you can easily understand. Okay, if I take a conversation or a deliverable to this guy, this is how he will navigate. So you are better prepared to answer the question. But there are some people that you've not understood their style. So that gives you, it puts you in an uncomfortable position. So there was a time I had interaction of working with a senior colleague, and every time she's always bashing me, as a lady, as in serious bashing. She would just be giving it. I don't understand. What's this? So it got a time that I was actually fed up. And I was at the point of saying, man, I need to quit. Okay. So I remember where I was standing in front of my house and I was like, this is tiring. God, what do I do? So I called a friend. The guy said, no, you have to let her know this is not sustainable, blah, blah, blah. Then another guy said, oh, Wale is a senior guy to this other person. And he said, okay, when you have challenge, consult me. But I think I was at a forum. And if I remember, and I'm being open now, it should be at YPF, I think, if I remember very well, very well, very well. it should be at a YPF forum. When this started, I was part of the team, but work, but
Yeah.
I'll be more consistent. But let me quickly say it. So there
Amen.
was a statement that was made at that forum or in a fan. The person said, if you have a boss that is always very uncomfortable with you, and there are other guys that is comfortable with, go and ask them what is the winning key. So I studied another guy in the firm that I
Mm,
see, oh, this person is very, very okay. So I studied his
mm,
style and said, okay, this is the key. And I adopted that and things work seamlessly. So today we're very good friends. So
interesting.
the point I'm
And
making is that ensure
okay,
you understand his style and connect with other people that can help you navigate in a seamless manner before you say, I want to quit. Most times, quitting is not the solution.
thank you very much. I think that is very key because more often than not, it looks like we always want to have it rosy at work. Sorry. It looks like we always want to have it rosy at work. And when it looks maybe there's a new boss, there's a new sheriff on the block, or it's looking like there's a lot of friction between yourself and your boss. Half of the time is like, I'm not even, what am I even doing here? I think it's time to go. Or my spirit is no longer comfortable. And sometimes we even find spiritual reasons for it, or what we will call religious reasons for it. But I guess that takes me to the example of Joseph. The fact that whatever it is he was facing in Potiphar's house did not mean that he was going to jet out. I mean, if he had jetted out, he may not even have ended up in the prison. So that is very key. Learning what the person wants, although there's a borderline as to not sucking up to the person, but learning how best to connect with the person. And I think this also ties to your point on passion for learning and ensuring that, as the Bible says, as much as light in you, live peaceable with all men. Now, take us back to the beginning. You had told us that you started your career in telecoms before you moved to consulting. I imagine that at the point where you were moving, and maybe not preempting you that in telecoms you were doing some research or anything connected to what you studied in school. But moving from telecoms to consulting means that usually for consulting, you may be taking it as lateral hire, experience hire, or you have to go through the ranks. That was some career transition of some sort. We have many people on the call that at some point or the other in their career, they've had to transit, either moving from banking to data science or moving from core what they call sales to cybersecurity or what have you. And the tendency is that because you've moved at maybe 5 years into your career, you feel like you are in trainee stage, but by age, you should be in mid-level management stage. Right? I don't know if you understand the point I'm trying to make. What practical tips would you have for such people? I'm not sure at what point you moved. I mean, you did the transition to consulting, but imagine that if you look back, right, at the point where you were starting out in consulting, you were like a green, you should have been like a greenhorn, except if you moved totally as an experienced hire. What practical tips would you have for balancing the age versus the level of experience as a result of a career transition?
Okay, okay. Let me. So, if I get, let me rephrase my understanding, and you can then correct me or confirm my understanding. So, the first part of the question is, I'm transiting from one industry or one skill to another one. So, like myself, from HR to consulting. So, what are the requirements for you to transit seamlessly into such an environment, or if you're changing career or jobs? Is that correct? Then the second question is, if there is age gap, what do you do to ensure that at least you still remain relevant and you can still close the gap? Is that correct?
Yes, so it's more of the second one where you have transited rather late, and because you are seeking career growth, right? it looks like you are behind because people of your age are not at the trainee level in your new discipline of choice. You are now in a
Oh,
new field, in a new, yes. So what practical tips would you have for them to manage that trainee stage, or even if they are not trainees by designation in their new and field of endeavor, they are trainees by all other standards in terms of experience. So how do you manage not feeling left behind, especially when you've made the career transition maybe a bit later in your career, or maybe 5, 10 years into your career?
okay. Thank you.
Because we have many people on the call that have transited at one point or the other.
So I get the point now. So I'll use myself as an example. Then I will, from that, story, then give some, distill some insights that can help. So yeah, you're spot on. Like I said at the beginning, my passion was to go into research. Even when I did my service, my service, yeah, I was in a research institute, an economic research institute. Then I said either research or consulting. So I started in research, but after I was done, I was thinking I would be retained there, but I wasn't retained. Now, I then move on to register for my master's in UI. But you remember I said, my background was not very, I wasn't born into a very wealthy home. So lost a parent very young, and then you needed to get a job. So the job that came was telecom, and it was in HR. So I jump at, I'm thinking, no, oh, no, no, this
This is not
doesn't
my plan.
align with my, yeah. And to be candid, um, the Bible says we should take advantage of all opportunity that comes your way. You understand? So I did that. And immediately I did that, I moved on. It was when I got to the training when they had for us for young graduates, new hires in that company, that I was listening to all the companies. I think it was for about a week. It's like you are doing a graduate training program. Then they were taking us through a module on engagement started. My boss saw that Wale will be a young guy to actually work for them. So I started working with them. And that's when some of them saw me and said, this guy, what are you doing here? Come over to this side. But it came at a price. I will tell you that I was working very late to around 11, 12. It got to a point that my boss was the chairman of that project. He would leave the office and he would mandate his driver to stay behind to drop me at home at around 11 midnight. So when the KPMG guys saw me, they said, this guy is not bad. So they were saying, come over. But at that point, I made a choice to go for my master's. So what's the lesson there? Whatever experience you have, whether in a new field of study, in an existing sector or competency area, is useful. So don't despise that skill. Value it and use it to demonstrate the value you are bringing to the new
Yeah.
environment. I would say the second thing I did to help me, and I mean, today, I was telling you that I'll be at a strategy session. So the guy
Yeah.
that I was with was in the firm before me. His name is Yomi. So today he will come and say, well, yeah, I'm doing this. Come and help me. Come and facilitate me. But when I joined the firm, because he was maybe 2 or 3 years ahead of me, the kind of hunger I brought to the table to learn
Mm.
was exceptional. I can tell you that. So what do I mean? So you must network with people in that new environment that knows more than you and begin to run after them. I remember that time. There was a time one of them said, see, what I will do is I will open your brain and I will take my laptop and put it inside your brain so that you can then know how to work in consulting environment. Because every slide, every presentation, I'll say, can I have it? Can I take a look at it? So the point there is connect
Mm.
people in the new industry. that are ahead of you, learn about their way of working, and you will close the gap. I can tell you, you will close the gap. The final for me is you must be strategic, in terms of what you want, and it will come with some sacrifice. You must be willing to pay the sacrifice. It's like Jesus endured the cross for the joy that was set before him. That's what I would say. So number one, value your experience, bring that experience to bear, connect with people that are ahead of you, and be willing. Some of them, as at that time, they were in terms of age, they were far younger than me, and I'll be open and honest, far, far younger. But man, you have to stood to conquer. So I connected with them, reached out to them, and they were very helpful. And today it has been helpful. So that would be my suggestion in terms of transiting from one industry or competence area to another.
Thank you very much. That is actually a very powerful suggestion or recommendation in this context, because I imagine that more often than not, it's like your mind is playing games on you. And I'm speaking to those that have had to transition between careers. It's more like your mind is playing games on you when you have to answer to those that that it's because I just came here. I was a boss somewhere else before I got here. And it's very interesting that this point of passion is coming up over and over again. Because I mean, from what you have said now, it's looking like your current job may just be an audition for your next job. There are times when third parties come into your company to do something, or maybe just a client. I've had someone recently being poached by a client because he delivered. There's a way you work when you are providing professional services. There's an extra mile you go that the bosses on those teams that you're serving are like, no, just come and join us. And without any offense to your current job, realize that your current job might be an audition for your next job. No skill should be despised. Every skill is transferable. And maybe this is a time for me to also have people in the audience. Please, this is not a dialogue. We're all on the call, or except that our cameras are not on. Please put in your questions in the chat or pop in your comments, your contributions. It's also good that you raise up your hand. We are happy to hear your voices. We don't also just want to see you right or hide behind your camera. So if it's a good place for you, you can put on your camera, raise up your hands, and we'll have you ask further questions. Now we are going to the point of being proactive. I listened to something yesterday night, and the preacher was speaking about Joseph, about how you also need to always have the right people, like basically pray for people of influence. The point was that what Joseph had to do for Pharaoh, he had done it for two people who were Pharaoh's servants, but that did not bring about his breakthrough. And maybe that brings to bear your point on connecting with the right people, ensuring that you are at the right place at the right time, but you are not despising people because, I mean, as again, the job that Joseph did while in prison for interpreting the dreams was literally an audition for his next job, even in Pharaoh's palace. But that will bring me to another question on age. Joseph was young. We know that he was about 30. But I imagine that many of us within the YPF bracket were in the what you call next generation stage. A number of companies have succession planning, they have next gen, and I imagine that a number of people on the call will also have some bit of maybe they are being schooled or groomed in the pipeline for future leadership within their organizations. Would you say age really matters? With all your years of consulting, would you say age really matters, right, to determine your eligibility as a next generation leader within your organization? The reason is that for people that are between 30 to 40, depending on what the demography is in your organization, or some of them would rather say 40 to 50, would you say that you have to like get I'm not sure at what point you clinch partnership, but I imagine that more often than not there's an age bracket. But in your years of consulting, would you say age really matters? Then number two, the second question, we find many people in organizations schooling or having a pipeline of next generation leaders, but knocking off those that do not have an MBA. I have a friend that got married about 2 or 3 years ago, and she had to move somewhere in the east where her husband stays. Sometime last year they moved to Lagos. And I'm like, what are the odds? Your husband works in FMCG manufacturing, and your husband has never worked in Lagos before. You people are relocating to Lagos. I put two and two together and I'm saying, they're schooling your husband for leadership. So like, her husband overheard us. And I'm like, MBA. So like, Shope, how do you know? My husband has MBA. Obviously, like that's the plan. Because once you start moving from divisional, regional office to headquarters, there's no other plan than for that than the organization succession planning. So number one is, would you say that age matters? Number one. Number two, the issue about having an MBA for you to be in the pipeline for or eligibility for leadership, is it a myth or a reality? That's the question. Please pop in your questions in the chat. I'll be reading it from there, or you can raise up your hands because that's the next set of questions we'll be taking. Thank you. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the two questions in one. So the first question is, as you think about your career and growth in your career, does it really matter? And the second is around, so do you need additional qualification like an MBA, a professional qualification, MBA, master's, or, to be able to also advance in your career? So let me speak to the first one. I would say that maturity is not a function of age. So it's extremely important that you demonstrate maturity, whether you are young or you are old. In any organization, what they are looking for is value that you are creating, how you are helping to solve problems. So your ability to demonstrate that readiness and deliver tangible, measurable value in terms of impact you are creating is important. So whether you are young or you are old, it doesn't really matter. So age shouldn't be a barrier, because I can have a set of people here now that said, oh, in terms of my age, I'm actually maybe above the requirement. You asked the question around the fact that when I switch, maybe I had some people that are already ahead and they're younger, and that's a fact. You have people in the environment that are very smart and they started their career very young. Okay, by 19, they're already, so by the time you are saying the guy is around 30 something, he's close to a director, you understand? But in some cases, he's not. But what is important in all cases is that your ability to demonstrate that you can deliver value is actually important. So that's what I would say that is important. So number one is your readiness to actually add value, to solve problem. And let me say this, it goes beyond the technical. It actually also speaks to things we've said earlier, your soft skill, your ability to just connect with people, help them to solve a problem, your courage, your presence, your contribution in conversation. Those things comes together, to determine, is this person mature? Is this person ready? So it's a function of the light you carry, not necessarily, your age. That's what I would say. That is very important. And if you look at it, actually, the whole economy of the world is built on knowledge, primarily. Even God designed the world based on knowledge as well. That's what determines the value you carry. So what I would suggest is, let's make sure that we demonstrate maturity from a knowledge point of view, not from a tenure in terms of age. Whether you are old or young, once you demonstrate that value that you bring to the table through knowledge, through the light you carry, a place will be created for you. The second thing I would say is the growth mindset and readiness to deliver authentic impact. I would say those are the things I would say are extremely important to navigate, not really your age. Though age is important, if you are in an environment where there is, so for example, in our own environment, there is a time you have to go so that other people can come in and move across the ladder. So the earlier you get there, the better. But one thing is that let's focus more on developing ourselves, readiness, maturity, knowledge you carry, impact you are creating. As you focus on that, other things by His mercy we fall in place for everyone. The last one around MBA masters, is it required? I think it's important, to be candid. If you want to also navigate, and what I would suggest is that as you think about your destination, or you're thinking about the way you want to go, begin to look at what is the requirement for that next level. Okay. And then work towards getting it. So I would say in consulting, your ability to also demonstrate that you have a master's, or even in some other industry or MBA, add value to you. It does. So it's something that we should be deliberate about. It's something that we should do as we navigate the workplace. The other thing I would say is that, so about a few days ago, somebody came to me because they started something in their office where they initiate a project. And she mentioned that as at that time, she was like, things are changing fast because AI and all these things are taking over people's work. So our boss walked into our office and said, oh, and it's a multinational, that they've done an evaluation of various roles. And based on that, certain functions and roles are no longer required. So by August this year, was like 2 weeks ago. It's not even up to a week ago that this person was having conversation with me. They told her that, well, we still retain you, but some people within this role in Nigeria, in Kenya, in which other markets are no longer required. So by August, they need to leave. Now, what was the lesson there for me? As I sat down, I said, we must be thinking about the future, and we must be future ready. That is inevitable. There are certain things that, you can't do anything against the truth, but for the truth. It's like a church as well. If you don't switch and be ready to respond to the dynamics of the current signal, you will be left behind. And we need to apply it to our life. So I told the parent, I said, so what's the plan? What are you thinking? Where are you applying to? What do you need to do? So all of us will be thinking, so my role today, if tomorrow something comes that can deliver it better, will I still be relevant? What do I need to do to be future ready? I think it's important as well. An MBA and some other qualification will help you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to have hands up for questions, comments. I'm not sure you want to let him go that way. Please, while I do the recap of what he's just said, for those that are just joining us, thank you for joining us. We've been discussing career growth, and we have with us one of YPF's, what you call finest leaders, and those that you call the apostles in marketplace, us, the kind of people that you say, seest thou a man diligent in his business, he'll stand before kings. We've read through his profile, we've seen that he's had to advise governors, presidents, and I'm sure you have one or two things that you want to pick from him. Or maybe you've had career plans, you don't have a mentor. This is your opportunity now to please drop the question in the chat, raise up your hands, we'll pick you out and you'll be able to ask your questions. We've discussed quite very fundamental things. He said that you should future-proof your career advancement plans. He has said that you must demonstrate value. But I think what stands out for me is the point that if you demonstrate value, every organization is looking for value, a space will be created for you. And I think that mirrors the life of Joseph. I'm not sure Joseph's role was available in the kingdom, in Pharaoh's kingdom at the time, but the value he created was such that he even gave them the reason to create that role. And they said, I mean, who else if not you? And that's the point that we are bringing to now move to the next point. He has also said that MBA masters is important. Everyone wants to see that you have made some efforts to further your career. And I think that brings me to the point of many of what we call people in our parents' generation. I imagine that many of them, especially those that you hear, oh, this person's uncle, he worked in so bank. Most of them had those jobs with SSC certificates, and they did not make any efforts to further their education. And at some point within the 70s or 80s, no, 80s to early 90s, a number of them had to lose those jobs when computers became the order of the day. So future proofing your career advancement strategy, being future ready, demonstrating value, having a growth mindset, and understanding that you need readiness and you need to show or demonstrate impact. Before we take the first question, I'm still waiting for this question, but before we take the first questions, now we have many people within the YPF bracket that in the last 2 to 3 years they have japa. They are still with us in spirit, but they are no longer here. And as you would imagine, a number of career transitions have had to happen. Sometimes they are like in the cooler, they are someone has said I should call them by name. The person that said I should call them by name, he can list the people in his WhatsApp group. Thank you very much, Bayo. I decline to call them by name at this point. But I imagine that going to a foreign jurisdiction, going to a new jurisdiction means that you need to play differently. It's not business as usual. It's not a number of things may not necessarily be in your favor. And this is not me being very negative. Do you have any specific career tips? Because you're speaking of career growth. Moving over there, you've spoken about career transition, be stooping to conquer. Do you think there are any peculiar things that you want them to watch out for to say, okay, guys, you are now in this new environment. You can't keep singing the same song 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 years thereafter. You have to play smart. You are in a foreign jurisdiction. You have the foreigners to contend with. Do you have any, like, if you had someone walk up to you to say, I've moved to the UK, I've moved to Canada, but I still want to retain my ambitions in my career or in my field. What specific advice or tips would you have for them?
Omo,
Jackpot people,
this-
don't say I've not done anything for you. I'm asking free questions on your behalf.
So this is a tough one, but let me try and take a step. So at least I remember. So I'm coming from two perspectives. Number one, when I had opportunity to go for my masters, and I have to also try and see what are the opportunities there. I didn't stay back because maybe because where I was working then, the first telecom, they asked me to it was more or less like a we give you opportunity to go and study. You must come back. And then when I finished, my colleagues were like, Wale, are you going back to Nigeria? I said, well, I made a commitment, so I need to try and balance it. So eventually made a choice to come back. If I'd called my boss, maybe he would have said, okay, Wale, don't worry, I'll manage it for you. Stay. But I apply for certain jobs there. So what would I say that is required? So I will talk from that experience. Number two, I will talk from experience of my colleagues in the firm. I mean, as you know, I know you should understand that many people in a firm like one of the big four, they've left several people. I mean, several they've left and they're navigating and they're trying to settle. So what would be my view? Number one, I think it's important to always keep hope alive. Because when you get into a new environment, there is that complexity you face with the reality of life. I mean, I went through it when I was there and I knew what it meant. But that ability to believe that, no, I'm also here to actually deliver, function, fulfill destiny. Even if you think, there are some messages you hear and then they will say, oh, maybe it's an error. Forget those things. And I'm being open and honest. See, God can turn your error into your advantage. So we must understand that you are coming to a God that is ready to support you at any time, at any time. So we should not hold back on the error we've made, the mistake. Please, I will say that whether you hear God's voice or you didn't hear God's voice, you've moved. God is there more than ever to help you. So that belief, because it's important first. Number two, I would say is that it's also good to try and connect with people that have gone ahead of you and they've been there for some time. Now, it doesn't mean that when you seek for help, they will give you solution immediately. No, I mean, it doesn't, they even call it, IDY, do it yourself. But the comfort you get is that at least they've gone through it and they've been successful. So they can give you tips of what you need to do to navigate and be able to eventually settle and be who you want to be. So connecting with people, that's some of the things my colleagues do very well. They will also reach out to, KPMG and other firms, and I said, okay, what's opportunity there? What do I need to do to be able to settle in a seamless manner? I would suggest that is done. I mean, I did that when I was living for my master. I reached out to the Nigerian community in Scotland and they connected me, gave me opportunity to land safely. So I would say that is also important. The third thing is now, if there is an area you are interested in, I know there's competition, but what is important to say, oh, what will it take me to get there? Do I need a qualification? Do I need enroll for something? Be intentional to focus on those things. And with God on your side, I can tell you that success is guaranteed. Okay. So seeking for mentoring, reaching out to people is inevitable. Having that positive mindset is a winning platform first. And then what are the areas you're interested in? Begin to develop yourself in those areas. And as you connect with hope, something great will happen. And then you become a reference point in those communities as well. That's my view.
Thank you very much. I think it's very important, the first point, keeping hope alive, because that's why I laughed when you said God can, when you go in there and you apply for jobs and maybe what you are offered or what you get. Some of us we've gone through, and coincidentally, I think I've figured before, but I found out that apparently we are also co-alumni of the same
For
school.
sure.
So I imagine that it was the same situation. Mine is a different story entirely. Mine was I heard God's voice to come back, so I'll use the local power. They no born me where to stay back. But the second point is now where I want to draw the line about connecting with those ahead. I'll speak from experience. I had people that at the point where I went to study, as a student, you are entitled to 20 hours, for instance. And the intention for me, I mean, I've done law firm for about 5 years. I want to do law firm as my side job, right? While I'm studying. I want to have internship at a firm during summer while we're waiting for the second semester. But everybody around was like, you think you are the only one that is special? We that we are working in warehouse, we that we are doing care job, we that we are doing cleaning, we that we are doing security. So I think that's where we need to draw the line for those that are in the diaspora. Know who you are. They will kill every hope you have. And I got to the point where I told myself, if I'm going to come back to this country, I'm a human being. Because I gave myself a deadline that once my student visa was expired, I had no business doing any work that was not professional. But you may have a different target or goal that you set yourself, but more importantly, I also had other reasons why I had to go. But I'll go back to the point on focus on the area you're interested in, because I think this is the game changer at the end of the day. As you're keeping hope alive, you understand that you are also open-minded. Whatever comes your way, you are not despising it as such. because that's where we need to also draw the line so that you are not keeping hope alive and at the same time you are depriving yourself of access to at least available funds that you use to survive. And those points are actually very insightful. Before we round up, question for the audience. I don't see any hands up. I don't know whether everybody is so busy jotting. They don't even have time to open their mouths to ask questions. Any questions from the audience? Any more questions? I'm happy you can speak through me. You don't have to speak yourself, but at the same time, you can also speak yourself. Any more? Okay, please go ahead, Emmanuel Bassi, please. You have the
Okay,
floor, Emmanuel Bassi.
thank
Please
you.
ask the
Yeah,
question.
thank you. Thank you, sir. Sincerely, I have my notepad filled. I have my notepad filled because I think for me, uh, it's my question is more or less a personal question because I also transitioned from accounting practice per se to finance and strategy, and it's really been challenging. So, like it's like the today's edition, it's just for me. And though I've found my foot, but somehow sometimes I'm like, wow, I think I see why most people struggle or try not to maybe switch career or take up other roles, because that thought of, can I do this? How long will it take me to, to stabilize in this new field I'm taking on? So my question is this: what will you do differently if you're starting if you're going into consulting now, like in today's dispensation, in the way you mentioned something about AI, about people are going to lose their job by August because their role is no more needed in the company. For you, what will you do differently, both in the consulting or for those of us on the call that are in other fields? What will be your approach, especially for young YPF members that are just coming into maybe the corporate world, maybe entry level? What would you do differently?
Okay, what will I do differently? Okay, I think if I reflect on where I am now, and if I'm to say, okay, if I'm to correct some of the mistakes that I've made, I think one of the things I would do is to, in a very, very strategic and proactive manner, seek for guys that I believe are very solid. I saw a couple of them and I connected with them, but there is a guy I'm reflecting now. Very solid guy. I mean, when I say solid, solid as in solid. In all, we'll call it in all balance, across every area. So I think it's important that we identify such people, proactively connect with them. I later connected with him, but I think I should have done it faster. That is key. Number two thing I would say is, now in every organization, there are strategic people that are leaders in those organizations. Um, they may be Christians, they may not be Christians, they may even be people of other religion, but they are very strategic in helping people to navigate their career in a seamless manner. So I would suggest that being able to connect with them early, creating the right impression, and it's not so much of you are in their face, because there must be right balance between becoming a pest and at the same time I want to connect with you. So there is the maturity and intelligence that come with it, where you are maintaining the right balance and they can still respect you. So I think connecting with them is very important. So as I reflect about myself now, there are a couple of guys that I later connected with that became very useful, for me. I remember one that I connected with after I became a director in the firm. And, there was a point where I think I should have actually crossed the mark and moved to the next level, but I didn't get it. So one guy called me and said, Wole, I said, yes. He said, oh, it was very painful. I mean, we expected that this should have happened, but it didn't happen. And a couple of other guys called me, even ex-partner that have left. I said, we know you. So the guy said, see, let me tell you one thing. One of the things you need to do is that there's XYZ. Just connect to this person. Then another person, also very senior person, called me and said, oh, Wole, what's your plan? I mentioned it. They said, okay, just catch up with this person. And then I walk up to the person. I just said, oh, how are you doing? I discovered that you've helped several people, and he does it based on merit. He just said, okay, what do you even do in this firm? And then explain. He said, oh, I like to mentor people. Oh, there's a book I read a couple of years ago. They gave it to us when we joined Cape, Anderson. I think that book will help you. So immediately mentioned the book. Okay, I connected with the book. I got the book, read it. I didn't finish all the chapters, so I read some chapters. I was meditating and reflecting each time I focused on those chapters. So I then discovered that it was very, very useful. So the point I'm making is that with the benefit of hindsight, two things I would have done differently is, number one, connect with certain guys that I believe are very exceptional. Connect with them, interact with them, let them give you how to navigate the world place, because it's important. You can pray, but prayer only, the way God does things, in my own view, is that when you pray, the answer to your prayer is in somebody else's hand. So that person then becomes the solution to answer your prayer. So if you don't connect with the person, the answer may not come immediately. So being able to do that, and Mary did that with Elizabeth and a couple of other people in the Bible. Then there are certain people that are senior enough that they make decision. Connect with them as well. But overall, still make sure you are delivering value. I will say that, because in the final analysis, the decision to help you is also the value you bring to the table. So when you are not there, they are talking about you. That would be my I don't know if that answered the question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it
Thank you
does.
very
It
much.
does.
Thank you. Any
Okay,
other
as a follow-up question to that.
questions? And blessing. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Go ahead, please.
So as a follow-up question
Yes,
to
please.
that, sir, there are certain corporate terminologies we hear in the workplace, like office politics. So as a believer, as a Christian, is it right, not for me to say for us to play the politics, is it right that we pay interest to understanding the office politics, how it is, the people involved, or the way the office politics plays out in our particular organization? Does it have any relevance to our career growth in that particular office?
Okay. Yes, it's important. It's part of maturity. It's part of like I said earlier, we must understand that the whole economy of even the world is premised on knowledge. That's the way it has been designed. It's the light, which is a function of knowledge that you carry, that enables you to navigate the complexity of our world. So, and I mean, I'm sorry to say, even in church, it exists. Yeah. So your ability to understand the way to navigate it in a manner that you are doing it in a way that is professional and is according to the rule of the game is inevitable. And I will give you specific examples to bring it home. So one example that I think is important is in the firm, like where I am now, we call each other by first name and it's first name. So nobody should think here that, oh, this guy is saying if you come into, the firm, you have to call somebody by Mr. But also, there is still the fact that even though I call my national senior partner Tola by name, I said, Tola, okay, don't worry, I'll get back to you. But there's also a respect that comes through it. Okay. So that understanding that, and number two is your ability to read the room. So let's say you're having conversation, and as you're having the discussion, you've seen the pattern and the direction of the discussion. Now, it will be wrong for you to then, yes, they encourage superior arguments. They encourage, fact-based analysis, but also it's important that for you to read the room and understand that the way this thing is going, I should not be very vocal. I should just hold my peace. If I have perspective, I can do word round and go and talk to some people that can influence things. So your ability to also read the room, is extremely very important. Also to navigate. The final one I would say is that when you are being invited to hit, or you are being invited to come up higher, it's important that when you get to, you must be able to say, okay, what will it take to operate at this level? What is the protocol? Because typically it's no longer your technical skill now that is required. It's your emotional intelligence that is key to also be able to continue to grow. So I would say that understand the rule of the game, understand when conversations are going on, understand the direction of things. The other one I would say is important is this. If you are working with a team of, let's say, superior guys, leaders, maybe 4 or 5 of them, now you must do things in a manner that all of them are carrying along. Let me explain this. So let's say, for example, one of your bosses is saying, how far, give me this thing. And one of them is delaying because you need his input to actually move forward. Now, if you come across and say, oh, this is the guy delaying me, it can backfire. If you think, this is the person that is delaying me, you then go to the other boss, you complain, and by the time you leave, when they get to the conversation at the highest level, they will align. I can tell you from experience, they will align. So it's important that you navigate that in a delicate manner where at the same time you deliver your work, but you are making everybody happy. So what do you do? One of the things you can do that I encourage people to do is that carry everybody along at the same time. So when you are sending that email, make sure that all the guys are copied. And as you write the mail, you write it in a manner that you are not implicating anyone. Just put the mail there, say, look, I've done this, I'm expecting input. When this is done, I will update, and everybody is copied. So nobody will say, I'm not there. And they will deny you. I've seen it before. They will just deny you and will say, but you are the one that caused the delay. Because they will always align at the top. They will always align at the top. It's one of the ways through which you said, okay, let all of us be on the same page. So your ability to keep everybody happy, if there is anything that you are working with other people, make sure you carry everybody along at the same time, understand the dynamics in the room, and make sure you swing along. I think it's important. Otherwise, it can backfire, and my people perish for lack of knowledge.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm sure that must have answered this question. We are running out of time, or we have actually run out of time. But I'm imagining that a number of us were not here from the beginning, so I won't be wrong to just keep us for a few minutes. Before I go ahead, what is the name of the book, please? We have 1 million people asking. They're not asking on this chat. My WhatsApp is buzzing. Please,
No,
what is
it's a
the name
very
of the book?
simple book that I'm sure everybody must have come across. It's
Please
Seven
don't
Habits
move
of
my
Highly
cheese.
Effective People.
Oh, I see. Of highly effective people or leaders?
No, there's people that's leader. You can get the leaders one as well. And then there is a book around rule of work. I think it's also good. I read that as well. That speaks to the points around office politics.
Hmm.
It's a book that you should read. Everybody should try and get a copy and read it. And then, with the Spirit of God helping, we'll navigate in a seamless manner and still be relevant in our world.
Thank you very much. 7 habits of highly effective people. Please pop it in the chat, put it on the WhatsApp group so that those that are just joining us can easily pick it from there. As the book that makes a man, or one of the books that makes that made a key speaker for today. Thank you so much for everything that you have shared so far. I think the highlight for me is making everybody happy. There's something I learned recently about being on the right side of all office politics, so that even if two elephants are fighting, you are not the ground that is suffering at every point in time. So making everybody happy with spiritual intelligence, knowing what to do and what not to do. And I think that I also read the point you made about leaders aligning at the top resonates with me. I've had very recent experiences, and thankfully I did not forget myself. But I've seen that anything that makes you report one leader to the next leader, ha ha ha,
The fire
you are the
back.
topic at the next discussion, because the thought is, if you can talk about this person to me because you want me to help you to wade in, then you can. So maybe the intention is to find a balance about how to make your, will I call it, your complaint or your grants known without faulting the leader. Instead, be faulting yourself as you are saying it. I know I wasn't doing this. I know I wasn't. You understand? So that they keep seeing it as. I realize also another point, that many times leaders always want you to put them in the position where they're advising you. If you come like you know everything that is happening, you know how to word it, and you expect this person to have done better, it's more like you have kept them useless. So it's important that you put yourself in position where people are looking forward to mentor you. And another point on maybe office politics that I will share. Recently I've had to, one of my bosses at work, strategic founder, somebody that everybody needs to, that literally, I mean, having his favor works. But over time, sometimes as a Christian, you think office politics. No, I don't play politics, so I stay on my own, I do this. And what I didn't realize is that at some point, when you're delivering value, they're all talking about you, but you have not had any opportunity to connect because you are minding your business too much. Sometimes minding your business too is not too good. That little, I found out early in my career that there was a, some people on this call may be familiar with it. In the morning, when you come in the morning, it's like a family. You have to go and greet your parents in their rooms. You go, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. All of those things I could not imagine. But further in my career now, good morning. We do it very well. Good morning, sir. Good morning. How have you been? And you will be surprised that if you've been away for just a while, they are not working with you. You don't even have anything that brings you together. They'll tell you, I've not seen you in a while. So that's how you know that beyond delivering value, connecting with people is very important. I'm sure we'll find many of these points in the 7 habits of highly effective people and the rule of work book that Mr. Ola,
Just say Wale,
what am I saying?
my name is
So, we are not a KPMG. I can't call you Wale. Let me respect myself. Mr. Adelokun has shared with us. Thank you very, very much. I don't know if you have one more question before I invite uh speaker to give us one parting word. Okay, so I think it's okay. If you will have one tip, one parting word, one thing that if you forget everything you've said today in the last 1 hour, 20 minutes, we should not forget, what would that be?
okay. Sorry, I will say 2 words.
No
Let me say two
problem.
words.
That shows that you love us.
One, first is there is a defined connection required for
Hmm.
achieving your dream. So I would say that connection with him is inevitable. and working from the premise of understanding that He loves you more than you love yourself, in spite of the challenges around you within the economy. They are not barriers, they are enablers to get you there. That's number one. The second thing is value creation, and is coming from the premise of the word work itself. In our own environment where I work, it's quite intense, demanding, to say the least. I knows what it means. But the way I perceive it, and I'll be real now. I'm taking this call in the office because I came in from a session, and then a team, they're waiting for me now to have review work. So what I've told them is that, guys, to help me, let's book an hotel. Just stay in the hotel. So, or deep dive. Then they look at me. One of them was smiling. So one of them motivated to work. She said, somebody said, I thought you would say, I'm motivated to praise God and worship Him. I said, yes, when you work, you are praising God, because the real meaning of work is become. So if we see that from the perspective, the work I do is changing me to deliver value and become a better person, deliver society, our perception will change. So connection with God, your focus on value creation and adding value in anything is important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Value creation, divine connection. As you are leaving this call, as you are pressing leave meeting, just be seeing it. Value creation, divine connection. Continue that way. Thank you so much, sir. You've been very, very resourceful. I mean, we already knew we were calling, so we had the opportunity, and we told ourselves that we will not stick to 1 hour. I'm sure some people will be eyeing me from behind, but I'm sure your notes are full. I have a number of pages. I can show you people. I've been writing and writing, not writing just to answer questions, but I'm writing also for myself, because I did not come and represent anybody here. I also came for my own career growth. And I think it's very important, the points that you've made on value creation, on divine connection, but also on office politics. Sometimes as Christians, there's a tendency to look at it with the eye of sin or the eye of the hidden. But it's good to always, as you said, make everybody happy. We find even some biblical allusions as to living peaceably with all men. And I'm sure that everyone has enjoyed it as much as I have. Thank you again for joining us on our Career Chat podcast. It's been a pleasure having you. We'll be leaving room for any further questions, because I imagine that some people, when they get back to their notes, that they'll say, I didn't understand what he said here. At that point, please, you kindly oblige us that we can send the questions across to you for you to answer them, however which way that you require. So I want to say a big thank you again. This is one of the busiest persons I've met, and it took divine connection to actually get him on this call. Thank you very much for sparing our time to speak with us. I'm sure that everyone will come back with one thing or the other. It will be good to also have us go out, look out for those 2 books, read through it, and share on the WhatsApp group what you learned from it. Because he has mentioned that people waiting for him, I think it's a good time, 9:25, to let him go. First, before it goes, a round of applause. I want to see all the applauses. Use all of the emojis and emoticons in the chats. Please give our speaker a round of applause. It's been a good one, and I've learned a lot, as much as I'm sure every other person has learned. So you see me again next time. It's your anchor, Shokwe Falano. Thank you very much for joining us. God bless you. And good night, everyone. Good night, sir. Thank you very much.